You're listening to the REI Marketing Nerds Podcast, the leading resource for real estate investors who want to dominate their market online. Dan Barrett is the founder of AdWords Nerds, a high-tech digital agency focusing exclusively on helping real estate investors like you get more leads and deals online, outsmart your competition, and live a freer, more awesome life. And now, your host, Dan Barrett.
All right, everybody, this is Daniel Barrett. I'm here with Keith Gillespie. Keith is from Crown Properties. He's a real estate investor over in Oahu, Hawaii. Did I say that right? Is that how you say
You're
it?
repping from Hawaii, Oahu, Hawaii.
There you go. The website Keith is from is sellmyhouseonoahu.com. Keith, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah. So I'm going to start the way I typically do. And I've known you for a little bit, but I don't actually know like exactly how you got started in real estate investing. So before we kind of jump down that path, first of all, like what kind of investing are you doing right now? Like you're flipping, you're wholesaling, like what's your business model look like right now?
Yeah, so right now we're only flipping, but we're getting into new builds. Right now we're actually branching off of Oahu, doing some new builds on the Big Island, but those are just coming to us. We're not marketing for them. The only thing that we're really marketing for and going for it is flipping right now on the island of Oahu.
Okay, so flipping is your primary. That's like where you're trying to make most of your money.
Correct. Yep.
All right. And so how did you get started in real estate investing to begin with? Like, did you have a background in real estate? Like what got you into the industry?
No, not at all. So I'm actually an active duty Marine, and about 2 years into my first term, my operational tempo was pretty low. I was getting bored at work, and one of my friends suggested, he knew that I liked talking about money and finances and stuff, and he just suggested that I read this awesome book that totally changed the glasses that he saw life through. And as you can probably guess, that book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, got totally hooked, completely, same as him, just changed my outlook on life.
Yeah.
And it basically told me that I had been thinking about everything all wrong.
How old were you when this happened?
I was 19 years old when I read the book.
19? Wow. All right, cool.
So I just got hooked on Robert Kiyosaki's book. From there, I read Unfair Advantage. It's my favorite book by Robert Kiyosaki. And like a month later, we joined Rich Dad Coaching. A month after that, we started our real estate investing business. A month after that, we joined Fortune Builders.
Wow.
And so we had all this coaching, we had all this network of people around us to really show us the ropes and not screw up as much as Robert did when he was starting. So we started with a business partner. She was a part of Fortune Builders. She was a member of our church. So we joined with her. She was also a realtor. So we just had this huge wealth of knowledge. DC is totally saturated with investors, which was great. There's a lot of competition, but if you use it to support you and you use it in a good way, it's just a huge amount of networking. A lot of wisdom is out there. A lot of seasoned investors who've weathered the storm, of 2008 to 2011. And so we just used that to start off. We partnered with our business partner. We flipped a house in Virginia right before we left for Hawaii, which is now almost 2 years ago. And now we just kind of picked up the business here on Oahu from where we left in Virginia, Washington, D.C.
So, I mean, that's cool. I mean, the thing I love about that is, like you kind of said, like you don't have the background in real estate, but you kind of just made up for it by surrounding yourself by a whole bunch of people who had really extensive background, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's like even in the sense of, reading the books and joining the coaching programs, it's like you're really digging for that kind of influential kind of mentor relationship, from the very beginning.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, I think you probably know him. His name's Brad Chandler.
Yeah.
I started his REI meeting was the first REI meeting that I went to, and just a ton of knowledge. And I got totally hooked. Going to all these meetings. So, needless to say, pretty much 4 days of the week, I was getting off work and going to these meetings, driving sometimes over an hour, going into Maryland, to other freaking states to go to these meetings just because I wanted to learn from these people. Because I know that I'm young, I'm dumb, I'm susceptible to stupid decisions, and I don't want to make those. I'm smart enough to know that I'm going to make those mistakes if I don't have somebody on my team that can help me out and show me, hey, if you go this route, it's going to be school of hard knocks, man. So why don't you just learn from my experience, and here's what I would do. I wouldn't get into the deal unless you bought it for this amount, or whatever their advice is.
Yeah, that's like what reminds me of one of my favorite. I think it's like here. I don't know if it's Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett, but one of them has a quote that essentially says like, everybody can learn from their own experience. What makes you successful is learning from the experiences of others. And I really believe that, right? It's kind of like you said, like everybody screws up. Everyone's going to make mistakes. Doesn't matter how smart you are. Doesn't even matter how much experience you have. But if you can, tap into the experiences of others, chances are people have been through a very similar situation, and they can give you a lot more information, give you a lot higher percentile chance of, making the right decision. So that's a really powerful approach. So like, how'd you get down to Hawaii? You were down there with the military?
Yeah. So as soon as I was coming up on the end of my first term in the military, I realized that I hadn't quite set myself up. I didn't have enough money, didn't have enough experience to jump into real estate full time. But I knew that I could be successful in it. So I wanted to kind of leverage my knowledge, leverage my youth, leverage the things that I had built in Virginia to move on to the next playing field. And so Hawaii was more of a strategic real estate minded move for me. And I basically told the Marine Corps, I need you to send me to Hawaii. Otherwise I'm going to get out. So they moved me here for free. Now, I work here for the Marine Corps. But on the side, the real reason why I moved here is because your numbers in Hawaii are just going to be significantly larger. You can add, a zero to everything, as opposed to the mainland where I'd be flipping a house and making $35,000. Now I'm making a little over $200,000 for a flip here in Hawaii. And for somebody of my age, that's really wonderful. I just wanted to start off. I was spinning my wheels a lot in Virginia, and I realized that I kind of just needed to slow down, build the systems in the business. That way I could take on these larger deals here in Hawaii.
Well, because you kind of, you said this a little quickly, but you're still working full time for the Marine Corps.
Correct.
How do you balance that? Because you also you've got a family, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got a lot going on. You seem like you have a lot of energy, which is awesome. So like, how do you balance the two? I mean, it's interesting because like real estate investing, especially if you don't have a lot of systems set up, right? You get calls at weird times. You got to follow up with someone right away. So like, how do you balance those things?
So right now, it's just me and my wife in a business. And so my wife is a real estate agent. She's a Beachbody coach. We have 2 kids, ages 3 and 1, and we're super active with our church. We're just freaking super busy. Everything is structured. Our days are time blocked. We have our calendars synced. We're booking appointments for the other person to go on. And so like while I'm at work, the military life is demanding, especially in the Marine Corps. You're very loyal to the Corps. You're very loyal to your job, and you want to do the best darn job that you can do. So while I'm at work, I don't really have time to do, business stuff. But on my way to work, you better believe I'm going to be listening to audiobooks. I'm going to be listening to a podcast or going through some marketing training, or some sales and negotiation training. At lunch, I'll be taking calls, or if I need to follow up with a house or with the escrow company or something, then I'll do some stuff at lunch. But really, dude, it's my wife. My wife just has really stepped up and grabbed it by the balls. She's just like a super mom and a super wife, and she handles all the calls that are coming in. She's constantly emailing people, following up with them, following up with a title company, with lenders, contractors, you name it. She does a lot of stuff. But then, so that's just our business right now. And then we have this group of friends with us. One of them is another Marine that I work with. Then I have a friend who's a Navy cat and his girlfriend. So we've all kind of teamed up, and the 5 of us are splitting up what our roles and responsibilities are. So like my wife takes all the inbound calls. I really love marketing. My other Marine friend is really good with like systems and automation. So we're like getting onboarded right now with Investor Fuse, and he's just totally grabbing that. And he's really good at trimming the fat The Navy cat is a construction manager, and his girlfriend is wonderful with design and scope of works. She's also an agent. So collectively, dude, this team of five is like we're just taking over. We're doing really, really good things, and it's really helping. We're just learning. Hey, like I suck at this. Are you good at that? Yeah, dude, I love doing that. Okay, take it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So like business partnerships, right? Like people always say like a business partnership is like a marriage, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it can be a very tough relationship. It can be a very fraught one, right? There's a lot of ways for it to go wrong, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like the military background has helped you guys understand how to work together and how to divide up the work and like make sure that things are happening?
100%. So much. I feel like I've been completely set up for success, and it's like a cheat. It's a hack for
Yeah.
business, because that's what, like, as a team leader, as a squad leader in the Marine Corps, your job is to be like, all right, I have 3 to 15 Marines underneath me. This is the job that needs to get done. How am I going to divvy out the task? Who's best at what? You're really good at not being in the business, but working on the business, looking at it from an overhead perspective and saying, hey, 3 troops need to go on the left, 3 troops need to go on the right, 6 in the front, 3 to the rear. This is what needs to happen so that the overall goal and the backup plan can be accessible once, no freaking plan. We have this saying, maybe I shouldn't get into Marine Corps isms, but we have a saying that no plan ever survives the first bullet. So like as soon as you start getting shot at, you freaking forget the plan. You just nothing is going to go the right way. So you have to have somebody on the top looking at everything, saying this is what we need to do. Somebody's on the radio, someone's on the comm saying this is what we need to do. So that's a hack, as well as like we're all about correction in the Marine Corps, and I guess in every branch of the service. But like if somebody's not doing a good job, you almost feel like it's your duty to come and tactfully, respectfully, lovingly tell this person, hey man, you're just not quite cutting it. This is where my bar is. This is also, and you're taught like how to give instruction to that person and say, this is what you did. This is where I think you went wrong. And I'd like to see if you can do it this way. Give them a little bit of guidance and a little bit of advice rather than just saying, hey, you suck, bro, like fix yourself.
So do you feel like, like in the terms of the business partnership, if somebody wasn't pulling their weight or things weren't going according to plan, you guys feel like, well, we have a system in place where we know that, and then we have kind of like a shared language of how to talk about those issues and get through them without things kind of
exactly. And collectively, we kind of just push each other. So far, we've had very few of those bad talks. Most of the time, it's a talk, getting everyone in the room and saying like, look, all right, together we're going to raise our standards. I'm going to hold you more accountable, and I want you to hold me more accountable. This is the things that I want to achieve this month. These are my goals that and if I hit these, then that'll escalate whatever this business to this level. And I would really help. It would help me if you guys would, just text me sometime on Thursday or next week and see if I follow through with what I'm going to say, or, what I say I'm going to do. So that accountability is there, and you feel like there's a sense of duty and a sense of honor that goes into that. And we're really just there as a band of brothers and sisters to help grow the team, because everyone's focused on themselves. You don't have to worry about the person working on themselves. We're taught to do that. Know yourself and seek self-improvement is one of the leadership traits of the Marine Corps. So every one of us is doing that. We're reading books and saying, you know what, I really could use to learn about this one topic. But then collectively, we're throwing ideas into the pot of how we could grow together.
Yeah, it just strikes me as like a really powerful kind of like infrastructure to things. Because I think partnerships for business can be, I think a lot of people jump into them without really thinking through how it's actually going to work.
Yeah.
And, it's been tough. We've had clients that like came in with partners and like left without a partner. I'm like, I only worked with you for like 3 months, so it can go pretty wild. But it sounds like you guys have an awesome system. So like, has there been kind of like a culture shock or like a cultural shift you've had to make, like kind of investing in Hawaii? Like what is your take on how investing in Hawaii is different from, the rest of the US?
It's so different. It's so different. And I don't want to turn this into a political or racial standing at all. But I will just state some facts. And some facts is that the military came in and took over Hawaii. So they have every right to be bitter against white men, and in particular, white men that look like me that have my hair cut, you know?
Right. Literally your job description.
Yeah. So when they're talking to me on the phone, they love me. They love my energy. They love my vision. I'm building rapport. I'm mirroring how they're talking. I do all the right things, and I'm asking them about their life, about their kids. And we really have this personal connection. And then, man, it kills me because then I go to their house, I knock on their door, I'll bring them a gift, some local food usually. And I open the door, or excuse me, they open the door, and I just see their face fall. And that kind of like, that breaks my heart a little bit, because now there's a wall built up in between us.
Mhm.
And I'm about to walk around their house and take some pictures. We're going to sit down at the dining room table. I'm going to go over some of their more detail oriented questions with their family. And now I have to break down that wall all over again, because now they realize that I'm white, I'm young, and I'm in the military. And those are three things that here you kind of have to overcome that. So how we're overcoming that is we actually just brought a local guy onto our team, and he's grown up here his whole life. He's native. He knows everyone. He's been to 3 of the high schools. He's lived in 5 different areas of the island. So he has, it's called aunties and uncles, right? Everyone who's older than you and of age is an auntie and uncle. So he has those connections, and he's in the culture. He's immersed in the culture. Where my wife, on our team, we just got here, the last 2 or 3 years. We haven't built that local connection. So now he's like coming out with us on these acquisition calls, going out to the house and building local rapport. And he's just going out, we call it talking story, but that really helps, overcome that initial like, oh snap, he's white, So that's how we're overcoming it. It has been quite a culture shock. It's not exactly what I was expecting, because DC is really fast paced. It's really cutthroat. And here, everyone, it's a little bit slower paced. It's a little bit, there's more aloha, So you have to respect that when you're going out to somebody's house. Give them time. A lot of times, like in DC, I'd go to people's houses, and basically it was, give me a yes or a no right now. Like, I don't want to leave the property without a yes or a no. Either one is okay. I just don't want to know I want to know because I'm going out to another house tomorrow, and I can't afford to buy, all the houses from everyone who calls me. But here, I can't play that card, because people need 3 weeks to make up their mind and come back to us.
Are you an investor who wants to dominate your local market? Do you want more leads and deals online? Then download your copy of the Motivated Seller Blueprint, absolutely free, at www.adwordsnerds.com/gift. What are you waiting for? Go to www.adwordsnerds.com/gift right now to get your copy of the Motivated Seller Blueprint.
I think the scenario where an investor is essentially an outsider, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty common one. Even within like the continental United States, right? And even if you're like, look, I live on this street, I've lived on this street my whole life. You're coming into someone else's house. You're always an outsider in someone else's house, right? It's like, there's always going to be this kind of thing. And it's always been interesting to me that the side of the business where if you talk to people who do it really well, so much of it is just being able to read people and being able to, walk in and be like, oh, hey, like I noticed your son plays lacrosse or like whatever it is.
Yeah.
And just being able to have a human connection, because, what is on its surface, a very kind of mathematical financial agreement, right? Like you have an asset, you paid X amount for it. You're going to sell that asset to me for Y amount. I'm going to sell it for Z amount. It's like, it seems very cut and dry, but in actuality, it's this really emotional kind of psychological thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because, Hawaii is a unique culture within the U.S., exactly the way you put it, because of its history of being annexed by the U.S., right? And so it's kind of a hype, sort of like a more amped up version of something that kind of everybody is going to have to deal with it in some way. So, I think it sounds like you you're approaching it a lot in the right way. Because I've heard people complain about things like that and just say like, well, blah, blah, people don't like me.
Yeah.
Or whatever, right? They're not giving me a chance. And it's like they don't take the time to actually empathize and try to understand why they're in that situation. And ultimately, like any human relationship, that's how it has to start, right? You have to at least kind of be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. You said you like the marketing. I like the marketing. So what is marketing in your market look like? Like what have you been doing? What's worked in the past? What do investors typically do? So we talked about this a little bit like off the podcast. And I know you were saying like generally it's a less tech savvy kind of population than the rest of the US. So break that down for me.
So nobody right now on the whole island of Oahu is running Google ads. I'm the only person running Google ads. Everyone has a website and that's fine. There are all these cookie cutter websites. They haven't really personalized it. They haven't added video. So right now, what I am personally getting into is I'm the tech savvy one on the team. So I'm working on the SEO. I'm working on the Google ads, the Facebook ads, the Facebook retargeting, having things, and me and my automation savvy person are working on like the automated emails and I guess the workflow of things to happen to turn warm leads back into hot. But honestly, dude, we've done every form of marketing I think that you can do except for radio and TV. So I have like the signs on my car, the magnets. We've done bandit signs. We've done ringless voicemail. We've done postcards, and we're still doing postcards and ringless voicemail. Not so much the bandit signs. The bandit signs, we're only bringing in wholesalers, which is great. But I have all the wholesalers that I need at this time. I need more motivated sellers. So once I flip that on myself, then I'll go back to putting out bandit signs. I already have 100 downstairs. So right now, I'm focusing online generation, lead generation. We still have like ads in the newspaper. I'm trying to go through this list in my head. Posting on Craigslist, we do. That brought in a lead last week. So we're doing pretty much everything except bandit signs. And what's working for us most, I think, is the technology stuff, because we're starting to see that shift on Oahu. The island of Oahu specifically is about 7 to 8 years behind the mainland, the continental United States. And the other islands are even further. They're more like 10 to 12 years, 10, maybe 11 years. So they're going to see that shift. But right now we are seeing that shift. So that's what I'm trying to capitalize on. And as more people are getting smartphones and more people are going to Captain Google to answer their questions, I want to be in front of them. That's where the market is the marketing is trending right now, is towards the online lead generation and having your credibility online, because that's what I have right now. And then our local guy has the aunties and uncles, the local connections, and the referrals that he's bringing in that way.
It's funny, man. It's like you were talking about this, and I was just thinking like, man, I would love to go back 7 to 12 years technology-wise. I know I make my living doing it, but sometimes I'm like, that sounds nice. But, it's really fascinating, man. And I find it so interesting how different, even within the continental United States, there's all these markets that have these kind of like separate cultures of whether they sell to investors and how they think about investors. I was thinking about Baltimore. Baltimore as being a city where people sell to investors in Baltimore like all the time.
All the time.
And it's not a weird thing. And there's a lot of urban blight there, a lot of houses that kind of, investors are just kind of all over the place. And, and then you've got other markets where it's much more rare and people are much more kind of wary of that.
They hold it to their chest. Yeah.
Yeah. So I find that really fascinating. Let me ask you, I'm taking a hard left.
Okay.
Hard left conversation wise.
Got it.
So you seem like a very energetic young man.
I am.
That's cool. All right. Do you have like a morning routine, or like how do you organize your day? Because you're doing a lot.
Yeah, man.
I always say like I've been very blessed. I've been very successful in my life, but I'm like I am naturally terrible at everything, and the only way I can get by and do anything well is by I can only do one thing well, and that's what I do. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So like, how do you have like a morning routine?
I do.
You organize your day to be able to keep all this straight and actually like keep the momentum going?
So I have a morning routine. I have a routine when I get in my car. I have a nightly routine, and then I have habits that I've built in, little life hacks, I guess, to help me keep things organized and keep things structured. So I guess I'll just touch briefly on those 4 things. 3 of them, the morning, the car, and the nightly routine, all came and were inspired by maybe 4 people, but it really came from one book, and it was The Morning Miracle. The Miracle Morning. It's called the
Miracle Morning. Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was like, I know this sounds so familiar, but
Miracle Morning. So that book, like, really, really changed my mentality, and your mentality changes your actions, your habits, therefore your destiny. So it all starts with your mind. So every morning I have these affirmations, I guess is what you'd call it. I have affirmations in the morning. I have them printed off, double-sided, in a piece of paper, in a sheet protector that is thumbtacked onto my headboard. And it's basically 5 sections. Developing self-confidence is the first section. Achieving health and fitness is the second section. And then creating relationships, achieving financial success, and overcoming adversity. So those are the things that I talk about in my morning section. And I have a lot of like limiting beliefs, right? So I'll just come, and I believe in like 100% transparency. So I'm young, and I realize that that is a huge advantage, meaning I have a ton of time to catch up. However, it's also a huge disadvantage, because at 23, me walking into somebody's house and saying, oh yeah, I can offer you $800,000. Wait, how old are you? And you say, yeah, suddenly red flags come up, So I have to overcome this limiting belief that people are going to look at me and it's not believable. It's really not. And I realized that. So that's one of the things that I talk about, that I can, achieve financial success now. I don't have to wait until I'm old. I can be financially free very soon now, even while I'm young. Success is imminent this year. I have worked, and I'm currently working so hard to achieve a great level of success. And I believe that it's going to happen soon. I'm expecting to be successful this year and to have it be the most fulfilling year that I've experienced so far in my life. That's just a part of the first thing that I say. So this was all inspired by the Miracle Morning. And I took some affirmations, Grant Cardone, and from Tony Robbins, and from kind of the leaders of self-development, business achievement-minded people. And then I have these affirmations that I do in the car. And basically I put it, so I'm a musician, right? So I put it to like a soundtrack. I literally edited a soundtrack just for my affirmations. And the difference between an incantation and an affirmation. So incantations, people are like, oh dude, you're weird. Like this is like sorcery and magic and spells and stuff. No, like the only difference is you're getting your body energized. You're moving your body, and you're really creating emotion to the things that you are saying out loud. Where an affirmation is your body is stale. It's stagnant. It's less effective, in my opinion. It's good for reminders, but it's not good to really, like, motivation means create movement. So to motivate, you have to move, and to move, you got to kind of get in the spirit. So these affirmations that I do in the car, every time I get in the car, whether I'm going to work, I'm going to the store, I'm going to a seller's house, it doesn't matter. I say these affirmations, and I feel like I can freaking conquer the world when I'm done with this. Oftentimes, dude, here's a little secret. I cry. I literally have a single tear. I don't know why. It happens pretty often, though. Maybe 3 times a week. I'll have a single tear come out of my left eye, just because there's so much passion into what I'm saying that, I don't know, I just get emotional or something. So anyway, I do these affirmations in the morning and in the evening, and then I do these incantations every time I get in the car. And then to organize my day and make things a little bit easier, my wife and I are like, so my wife and I, she is the better looking female version of me. Okay, so we have the same everything. I don't know, like people say like, oh, you're in the honeymoon phase. Well, dude, we've been together like almost a decade. I know that sounds weird. We're like high school sweethearts, but we're not in the honeymoon phase. We just don't argue. We get over things, and we talk to each other. We talk it out. We'll sit down for 2 or 3 hours and really discuss things. But like really, we have such an awesome marriage and awesome connection when it comes to the business. And so we like totally life hack. We have access to each other's Facebook accounts. We have access to each other's emails. We completely share everything. So I'll often answer an email or answer a text message on her behalf, and she'll do the same for me. We have our contacts synced. So I'm like, oh man, I need to get a hold of, whatever, her friend. And I don't have her contact. Well, good thing I have my contact synced with my wife, because then I just go on my phone and I call her friend, and she doesn't know that I have her phone number. And then we sync our calendar. We have notes that sync. I have this thing called the Ike app, IKE. And basically, I think it comes from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, maybe, where you're like putting your life into 4 quadrants. Is it time sensitive? Like, is it urgent or not urgent? And then is it important or not important? And basically, that's how we prioritize my personal life, my Marine Corps life, my business life, my church life, my marital life, whatever. So we have all these lists, right? And it gives you reminders. Like, I don't believe in writing in a notebook just because that's a one-way communication. Like, that notebook, unless you open it, it's not going to remind you, bro. So like, that's a one-way conversation. And I'm really bad. So that'll work for tons of people. And I'm not dogging on you if you use that. It just doesn't work for me. I am irresponsible, and I need to have that constant reminder. So I'll set, alarms or alerts, notifications saying like, hey, have you made these new ads for your Google ads? No, I haven't. It's probably something I should do today. So these things kind of help time block and prioritize what we're doing, as well as gather the information and keep it structured so that as a team, like, I don't work individually. I can't work individually. I have to have my wife there. So it really helps us as a team grow our business.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's funny, like, everything you're saying, I'm completely in line with. I think all that's really powerful. I was just thinking that one time I asked my wife if she wanted to come and work with me, and she said that she couldn't because she would murder me. I think it's all about just knowing your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it just sounds like you guys have an awesome team. And, I think more than anything, right, it's like self-awareness is so critical and all that stuff.
Yes.
And it sounds like you guys have got a really good grasp on what you're good at, what you want to do, what you don't want to do.
We're still learning, man. It's an everyday struggle. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it never ends. But, it's fun, man. I got to tell you, like, you're getting started early, and, this life, man, it's this whole entrepreneurial life. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And, I wish I had gotten started earlier, but, I love what I do, and I'm just super, super excited for you guys. So if people want to find you, want to find more about you, learn more about your company, where should they go online? How can they look?
They can go anywhere. As long as they search Crown Properties Inc., there's no way you can't find me. Crown with an E at the end, CROWNE, Properties Inc. You can find us literally on every platform. It'll be built out. But our most active ones will be Facebook, obviously. So you can find me, Keith Gillespie, my wife, Miranda Gillespie, or our business, Crown Properties Inc., on Facebook. We're pretty active especially my wife, on Facebook.
Cool. Yeah. And obviously, if the people want to check out your actual investing business, they can do that at sellmyhouseonoahu.com, which we conferred earlier, and it is spelled OAHU.
Yeah.
We just want to be sure. Hey, Keith, man, this was awesome, dude. I really appreciate you coming on the show and having this conversation with me.
Definitely.
Go and enjoy. I know it's rainy in Hawaii right now, but it is 2 degrees here. So just go enjoy it.
I'll enjoy my 75-degree weather.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'll talk to you very soon. Cheers, Keith. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.